Greetings, Sanbonani. It's another exciting episode of It's a Wrap. My name is Sipho, and we're bringing you yet again one of the talented actors that we have in our country. And today's conversation is going to be particularly exciting because are we only speaking to an actor, businessman, or even an activist? I'm very interested. Who am I speaking about is none other than Fumani Shilobane. Greetings, sir.
But what are you doing? Out of all the people, why you Fumani N
Shilobane?
Out of all the people,
of course, the N must be there.
It's very important.
I know that N is important. Minjan,
I'm good, man.
Thank you for gracing us. I always ask the guests to tell me if there was a billboard taking us somewhere in the freeway there with your face on it, and there's a caption that captures the essence of you. What would the message be on that billboard?
Yeah. It will say, if the talent and the passion that God gave me doesn't make me or help me improve someone else's life, then I don't want it.
Oh, if the talent that God gave me...
Talent and the passion.
The talent and the passion that God gave me doesn't help me improve somebody else's life, then I don't want it. And I like the fact that you are correcting me with talent and passion.
Yeah.
Why the two, and why are they different to you?
We all have passion, we all have talent. How do you convert those things to sustain you?
Yeah.
How do you convert your talent to sustain you? Because whether we like it or not, talent is like, you know, that saying, or is it proverb or whatever, the English one that says, opinion, we all have opinions.
Yeah.
Talent is like that.
But what is talent?
We're born with it. You could be an actor as I am.
Yeah.
You know, I knew early age, I loved this, and I could easily mimic or try to react from things that I've seen on TV.
Yeah.
I played soccer. I was a goalkeeper. I was terribly good at that as well. I played basketball. I went up until provincial. So I had talent in those particular. So I had that. That's talent, and I had a love for it, which is the passion. The question is, how do you convert these
to serve a greater purpose than self?
Because for me to love it, what's the point of loving it?
Yeah. And why is it important for us in expressing our talent and gift for it to live beyond us and have an impact in other people's lives?
One of the things, I don't know who's from a village here.
Yeah.
I'm from a village, and I've seen this also, and I've heard it also from other conversations that I've had with different people who are from also villages. There's one common phenomenon that has always happened in villages. When I grew up, there were businesses that were running well, black-owned businesses. But somehow when the father died, that business also died. And that's very common with almost every village.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's exactly what you're asking. If we don't pass on the knowledge, my son will come and start from zero, even though we had.
So every generation is starting from zero.
From zero, which is very silly. So why can't we pass the knowledge? I don't like quoting people, but there's this saying that graves, is it Miles Monroe?
Miles Monroe, yes.
To say the graveside is one of the most richest people and most, because people died with that.
Yeah.
They left with it. So I don't believe in leaving with anything. Can it stay behind?
So this is very interesting because whenever we're speaking about legacy or leaving something behind or inheritance, we always equate it to just the finances, the monies and stuff. And you are bringing a different conversation to say, even my talent, even the thing that I'm here to contribute, it needs to live beyond me.
It has to.
And when did that conversation become a reality for you?
I will lie to you, ne? I don't know.
Okay.
All I knew, I was trained by, well, he's Tswana speaking Marokcan Xhosa. You know, Paul Grootboom. But I mean, is there Grootboom who's not Xhosa?
I don't know.
He's Xhosa. I mean, he also had business as Xhosa.
Yeah.
You know, I was trained by him.
Yeah.
And in the class, we were like, with Tswanas in the class, I hate name dropping.
No, you've lived long enough to drop the names. You've experienced them, you know them, so bring up the names.
So in my class, it was Zenzungmob.
Yeah.
It was Presley.
Yes, I remember.
It was Koketso Mujela. It was Mandla Gaduka.
This is at the State Theatre.
At the State Theatre,
Yeah.
yes. So it was, I forgot who it was. I forgot.
Siasanga, wasn't she part of that group?
Siasanga was part of that as well. So, but in this one, so in that class, we never really spoke Xitsonga.
Yeah.
There was predominantly Tswana speaking people. So actually, I can act Tswana right now proper without even having an issue because I was taught drama in Tswana. Well, in English, but predominantly with Tswana speaking people.
Yeah.
So, with that, somehow I felt, let me hold in my language. Because what Paul will always say to us, good guys, just because you think people can act better, they don't. It's because they're natural in what they do.
They're comfortable.
In their language.
Yeah.
So because of that, they seem like they can act very good. In fact, you say Mahoa. I saw my act. I'm like, actually. So that's what made me start to speak in my language.
Okay.
To say whenever I go out. So as I'm saying, it was not, I didn't go out them like, you know what, yeah, I will be an activist or whatever. Nah. It was just, I wanted to be comfortable in my acting. It was all about that.
And in you seeking comfortability in doing your own language, and using your own language to act, it became a journey of activism.
Hey!
How does it become a journey? Because I mean, if you were English and you chose to speak in English, it would have never been an issue. So why has it become a conversation?
It becomes a conversation when I realize, Kuri, if every audition that I attend, I'm being asked to speak a different language. How? I do this. No, can you speak? But woo. So that thing became such a consistent that I started asking myself many questions. Why are these people not wanting me to speak my language? So I'm a very stubborn person. And stubborn for a cause. You see, I'm not one of those people who think being stubborn, being arrogant, being sure about your story is bad. No, if you're arrogant because you know your stuff, that's okay. If you're arrogant because you can pull this thing off, like some people think Ronaldo is arrogant. Yes, because he knows he's good.
And he's working hard at it.
He's working hard at it, so let him be. You know, Jali as well, at one point when he was in Paris, they used to think he's arrogant. I'm like, guys, the boy is good. That's why he's arrogant, because it pisses him off not to be. So when I realized that, my arrogance, my stubbornness, and all that came up to say, you guys don't know me.
And I mean, speaking about you guys not knowing you, I think some people might be watching and saying, what is this language? Like, this guy, what is he talking about? So what is this language? Because Paul Grootboom starts you off on a journey to say, these people are speaking in their own language. But he doesn't prepare you for what is going to come with you. So what is your language and why has it become such an issue of a conversation in the country?
So here's what I found out. I speak Xitsonga.
Yes.
I'm Tsonga. So here's what I found out. When I now jumped in and I look up after, because remember, he didn't prepare me. All he said, be comfortable. When I now looked up, I realized that, my goodness, actually there's only 2 Tsonga speaking actors. Who have been doing this for close to 20 years before I jumped in. It's only Boot Obert and Boot Charles. No one else. And here's the funny thing. They dope, these 2. But for some reason, they're not getting screen time.
Or big roles.
Or big roles. For some reason, I'm like, how? What is this? In theater, they're doing dope things. Yet on TV, they're not getting really big roles and yes, they're dope. And that's when I started to realize, oh man, there's something wrong here.
Okay.
Because I would go and into a production later and they'll say to me, no, speaking this language. I'm like, sharp, I'll do that. When I get the after contract signed, I'm speaking in my language because they won't fire me. They would have to pay me if they fired me at that point. Of course, I pissed off a lot of producers And then it now became an activism agenda, an activism agenda. When I realized that no, people are denying me to be me.
Yeah.
I was cast on Mobango a couple of years ago, and just after I left Generations.
Yeah.
And this guy says to me, "No, we don't want to typecast you because you spoke shit song on Generations. Here, we want you to speak Sipho." I'm like, "Do you understand typecasting first? Because that's not typecasting for me to speak my language. But besides, you had Rapulana here who's from Generations. He's speaking his Tswana style. Why are you allowing that?" So it is such events that made me to be more stubborn.
That is still a conversation, and I want to dig a little bit deeper into it. It's still a conversation because when we see you on X show and then you're moving to a next show, we're like, how? Why have I lost Changan? Why is he still speaking Tsonga?
Yes,
But
it's
then
so funny,
we
isn't
never take it into our subconscious mind automatically accepts when somebody's speaking isiZulu on one show.
In
and
all of
another
them,
show.
not in one show, in all of them.
Yeah, you know. So, but then again, we have to look at the fact that in our country, South Africa, that is, majority speaking people are Zulu speaking people, and also many of the Tsonga actors or Tsonga speaking people have lived in spaces where they were not even known as being South African.
Yes.
For the longest of time, a lot of people didn't think.
We are South Africans.
Yes, they thought like, yeah, when you speak Tsonga, you are from
Mozambique.
which I am in my regard because my father was from Mozambique.
My mother's from Mozambique.
Yes, but there were many people that I know that I met who didn't even have a connection to Moz. They are born and bred in Limpopo. They are great fathers. You know, maybe very far back it might go somewhere, but they don't know. If they go to Mozambique, they'll feel like foreigners themselves.
Yes.
But yet in South Africa, they were still seen as foreigners.
There's a line that I once heard this other chief, the Tsonga chief says, Kuri, it's interesting that when the Tsonga person from Botswana is in South Africa, it's okay. When a Swati person from Eswatini is in South Africa, there's no issue. When a Sotho person from Lesotho is in South Africa,
and they're all foreigners.
they're all foreigners. There's no issue. Yet, for some reason, a Tsonga person from Zimbabwe and from Mozambique, it's a big story. How is that? For me, it goes back to Kuri. We need to sit and realize and be cognizant. It's me acting, trying to push these people in my language. There is a deeper issue that is there that somehow we're not discussing or we're not really putting it out in the space to say what is wrong.
Have you been, aren't you scared that demanding, forcing, choosing to fight this fight would make you untouchable in certain areas and maybe even block you of opportunities?
It is one thing in my life. There is no producer in this world who's scare me about, I'll block you.
Yeah.
Keep your job. That doesn't scare me at all.
What brought about this confidence? Because you have to have, something has to have happened to lead you to that point of, I don't
I've
care.
got businesses.
There we go.
I've got businesses that I'm running. Keep your job. I really do not beg you for your job. Keep it. And also that, on top of it, I know I'm talented enough, I'm good enough that other producers are gonna employ me. Bruh, I won't speak the name because she's alive. There's a very powerful person. Two of them. One of them said, I don't want this kid on my show. A very huge producer. I did that show. While the producer was saying, producer an EP of that particular show, they said no. And the director said, if he said he can't act, I will teach him. And I did that show. And by the way, when I went to the audition, I was like this. You see how I look? He said, this kid, he's so cute, Mara. He's so confident in his beard within these models. I want him. Another show, I was fired from a stage production. It was a fault of mine. I was preparing for my wedding and I needed money, so it was a very confusing time. I had to do this and do this play. It was quite hectic. From a fault of mine, I eventually got fired from that particular production. And the lady who owned that production house, she was a board member at the State Theatre. She's a Jewish woman. We know what we know about the Jewish people. They closed everything. On the day that I was supposed to start the second production in a company, I was doing Generations. So from those two things, in fact, there is no human being who can block you from anything. One. Secondly, that I run my own businesses. Keep your job.
keep your job. But there are young actors that are starting out, and maybe how important is it for actors to diversify, because it gave you a confidence, and it continues to give you a
You know, it
confidence,
does,
because you
really.
speak up all the time. You not out of hand, but you always are sure enough to say no. If something is a no, is a no. How important is it for young actors to start thinking outside the box?
It's very important that from the get-go they need to so there is no money. There's no money at all in acting.
Okay.
Yet there is an opportunity, which can help you to start businesses.
Okay.
Because you're familiar, people trust you, they know where to find you, and all that. That's what you need to do. Yes, someone might say, no, I'm a beginner actor, I'm not there yet. Charlie, you can start any business at any time.
Yeah.
It does not need for you to be famous. By the time you become famous, if you become famous, because it's not a guarantee,
Yeah.
your business is already.
And also the credibility, because you've had a few clients already
You see what I'm
building
saying?
up as you go.
So
Yeah.
it births one birth another, and it becomes a whole thing. And then you are in a space where you can be comfortable. Guys, the thing is, it's not only about the business or the acting. It's not about the confidence that it gives you. You're gonna want to marry one day. You're gonna want to have kids one day. What the hell? How are you gonna feed them?
Where do they live?
Where do they live?
Go to school?
All that. So it's not about that. So it's about how. Listen. So it's. I won't lie to anyone and say that it's linear. It's all good. It's all happening every time. It's like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like this all the time. But if you play your cards right, you become comfortable.
In the years that you've been in the industry, do you think that you've reached a place of, in your career, being an actor that, in terms of the standard of the industry, where you're like, no, we know this one is an actor, like an A-list actor, our South African A-list actors, or do you feel that
But
you are still building
I am
up?
an A-list.
Yeah.
I'm definitely an A-list. That's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean,
And what makes that list of A-listers?
time.
Okay.
I've been doing this for 23 years.
Okay.
There's hardly any producer in SA who does not know me.
Love that.
Those are the things that qualifies one as an A-lister. It's not just because.
You're on a show that is famous.
No.
Yeah.
It's time.
Okay.
It's time, work ethic, your professionalism. It's a factor of
A network.
network and all those things. So you have producers who call you, say, yo, we need help with song actors. Can you help me? Why are they calling me?
Let's dive into that. I mean, this is a recent conversation, but I think it feeds well in what we're talking about, because you are speaking about being a Tsonga actor, getting into certain sets where you are told. In fact, maybe even before we go there, where you are told to not use your language,
Not anymore.
Not anymore, because now you have built that brand.
Now
But
they know before.
Yes, this one is going to. But it took a while to get to this point. And I remember I had a privilege of working with you on Kiani. That's where we first met physically, though I had already known about your work for years. And one of the things in the opening was the first day on set, when we were at a round table. And everyone was sitting around the table and they were narrating their stories about the excitement of being in a set where they don't have to explain themselves.
Okay.
And everyone was saying, you shared your experience about being in a room and not being comfortable in being Tsonga. This time around, you were in a room where you were expected to be Tsonga. You didn't have to explain your Tsongaism. You didn't have to explain anything about your language. You were accepted. What did a production like that, like Kiane, how important was it for you? And has it been a game changer for your career and for the Tsonga people or not?
I remember that day very well.
Yeah.
I think we're in Auckland Park.
Yes.
I was so overwhelmed that I actually cried.
Yeah.
Before I couldn't speak. I just cried because it was exactly what you're asking.
Yeah.
Kuri, what in my lifetime I'm sitting in a room where I don't have to explain myself. I'm sitting in a room where, what the hell, we are doing a show that is stronger. Yes, it was difficult for me to read the lines because I had never gotten a script in Xitsonga up until then.
Imagine, and you've been acting for so long,
Yes.
you've been advocating for the language for so long, but you had never in your life seen a script written in the language.
In the language. I battled that day when during the read because I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the language. I didn't teach Tsonga in school, so it was very difficult. But that moment for me, it was, even now when you start to remind me, it's because it was quite an emotional moment. So, would I say Giyani changed my career? It's part of my journey.
The progression of the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I had done generations at that time.
Yeah.
That thing's a monster. I had done ECT at the time.
Yeah.
That thing was a monster. So I had done a couple of productions that were huge.
Yeah.
So for me, Giyani, I had done Kalushi at the time.
At the time, yeah.
I had acted with Charlize Theron and Sean Penn and Javier. So if you can ask me, was Giyani that? Someone might think that, if a lot of Tsonga people think that, could Giyani made me? No, it did not.
But I think the conversation is, sometimes it's not about something being huge or a shifting moment in one's life. It's not about who is in it or like the size of the work. It's about the purpose of the okay. But I'm speaking about the fact that the show itself was a historical moment.
Oh no. Let's not lie to ourselves about that. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And it changed. There's a lot of shift for the Tsonga space. That no.
Yeah.
That's hard on fact.
Yeah.
It brought a new conversation. It brought people like Wise Man. Wise Man is one of the actors now. When they call him, you say to him, speak any other language, he will say no.
Yeah.
They know when they call Wise Man, he's going to speak Tsonga. When they call Ziggy, they know he's not going to speak anything. So it brought in that confidence. Where else I was the only one doing it for a couple of close to over 10 years. Well, Butchas were doing it as well.
Yeah.
You know. But now we are more than 10.
And also the characters are different because now your Wise Man, your Ziggies, they're also getting roles that are a doctor, a lawyer, a this, a that, where normally it would be, yes, you'll use the language, but you'll be Ubaba Selokshin.
It was that. So it was, and this was very painful for me. I got to a point in my career, there's a show I was, politics, so...
But it's done, the show, right?
It's
not
done.
TV anymore.
It's done. So the broadcaster called the production house to say, yo, we want Fumani.
Yeah.
We want Fumani. Call him quickly and auditioning and but we want him. But point is, Kore, within that, if it was now, the broadcaster would have had more than one.
Oh yes, person to go to. I love it.
At that time, they like when the guy from the broadcaster explained the story, it was like it's September, it's shooting time. Go get that guy. I was called in 3 or 4 weeks before the audition was even held to say block. But now, like I'm saying, so that's what Giyani did.
Okay, it introduced a new school of actors.
New school of actors.
Yeah.
There's now more appetite. There's now more people who want to join because there is a place where they can go. So for our people, no. Let's not sit here and lie to ourselves. It did wonders. It continues to do wonders.
Yeah.
Because now we have a lot of actors everywhere.
Yeah. And also in the history books of that conversation, it will always remain that
the first Tsonga show in the world was when one Sipho
not even in countries where Xitsonga is predominant, do they have a show in Xitsonga.
That was the first one.
Imagine.
Globally.
That was historical.
So from that point of view, I fully concur with you. I fully agree with you. Historically, there's a shift now. There's more need to have Tsonga actors. They're there. Though they're not there. Let's not even try to think we have a pool. We don't have a pool at all. But at least there is a place where they can pull and say, pull that on, and have a Tsonga actor here, and which is dope.
Speaking about a pool, you were recently on your social media caused a stir because you say something along the lines of what you are just saying now, that there's no pool or there's no Tsonga actors, if I'm quoting.
There are no Tsonga actors, yes.
And I wanted to ask you, what is a Tsonga actor?
A Tsonga actor is someone who is skilled and talented to be called for a production and can deliver without any issues.
And why should there be a Tsonga actor when we don't speak about a conversation of having a Zulu actor or a Tswana actor? We just have actors. Why should we?
Because Zulus people, they've been doing it for so long that it's a non-factor. If right now, let me give you an example with that, what you're saying. In one of my videos, I mentioned that in my age group, I'm the only one. And here's what the audience don't understand. In acting, there is classes.
Yeah.
There's 16-year-olds, you qualify to 20-year-olds, you qualify to 30-year-olds, you qualify to 40-year-olds and 50,
Yeah.
That's how, right now, my group, I'll be playing you guys' dads now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm now at.
And your competition is not that much because we've not yet harnessed in terms of like the Tonga people.
Not that much.
Yeah.
Who's another Tonga actor?
That's what I'm
playing
bringing up.
who in my age group, 40 to 50, who would play the Tonga dad?
True.
Obert and Charles are in the 50 and 60.
Yeah. They're different generations.
They're in a different space.
Yeah.
In our acting right now.
True.
And it's who's a Tonga actor?
True.
Who's got as much experience as I do? Forget my experience. Who's got 2 years experience? Forget 2 years. 1
Who's got 1 month experience?
month experience in my age group.
Yeah.
Who can be called from broadcasters, from production house. They call them confidently. You know what? We're not going to have to train this person. We won't have to. When we send dudes, you will be able to interpret them.
I mean, you seem to be attracted to, or I don't know if you attract that or it attracts you, but historical shows and historical plays. Recently, you were on Ishaga Ilembe, which is a Zulu production, but it also brought a big conversation. And I guess also because they wanted a Tsonga guy, then how did you get that role? Let's start there.
Same story. It was a direct call. There are no
So
Tonga
they knew where
actors.
to go to. Yeah.
It was between me, Charles, and Obed.
And they took 2 of the 3.
It was between us.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And the audition was not like a typical audition. We came in, we said, we spoke, the audition. It was not a typical audition. Why do you think they would even do that? And when I even hear further, the discussion had happened even before we even called us. Our names were discussed.
Already, well, okay, there's this guy and this guy.
So if a production as big as that would go to the level of just picking 3 people, why would they do that if we have a pool?
That's a very, I think the Tsonga actors out there, Tsonga people are being educated in this regard. Because I
Hopefully
know
they are.
that when your conversation started, a lot of people were stirred up in the way they're heavy in their
they still are.
feelings.
They
They
still
didn't
are.
listen to
They still are.
the justification. Hopefully this explains them. But let's get back into Shaka Ilembe. What did it mean for you to be in that particular production in this particular season?
When I was 16 years old,
Yeah.
I was schooling in a boarding school in Mpumalanga. So a Zulu kid, well, I was a kid as well, I was 16. He comes to me with so much confidence. He says to me, yeah, Tonga people, I don't know what led to that particular conversation. Tonga people come from the Zulus. I'm like, Chief, wait. If so, what is Fumani in Zulu? What is Shilubana? Because Shilubana means flower. It's a little flower in my language. What is Shilubana in your language? Because I know you guys call it Mbali or Imbali. Forget that. Why is it that there are no remnants of certain things that you find in Chitsonga, that you find in Zulu that are core things? Because if I give birth to my son, he's got my DNA, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
There are stuff. So why is that you don't find that in thingy? Forget that. Of course, I knew this later. Actually, Zulu as a clan, as big as it is, it's a 200 years old conglomerate, if I can call it that. Sorry guys if it's such an offensive word to be calling that. But Chitsonga has been there for a while. And you find it in Zambia, you find it in almost southern part of Africa. Did the Zulu guys get there as well? But that's a story for another, I found out later. Anyway, that kid, when I said that to him, he says to me, how? Say Shani, Chief. When did you arrive in Kundoksha? You said something and I asked to back something very factual. So, my excitement about doing Shaka, it brought that back. I have a video on TikTok where I said it's going to piss off a lot of people.
Because it starts having a conversation of if Soshangani is leaving, he's meeting a people that exist. Whereas the idea was that he left and then he started this with the people that he came with, who would have been people that spoke the language that he was speaking. So why change when we're in space?
Because you see, for me, the excitement was that. It will dispel a lot of couple of things. Because Soshangad is the one who formed the group. And my argument became, a story or history says he left with like 200 or 300 people. I think to me, in 200 years, 200 people can be more than 1 million. Guys, that math is not mathing. 1, 2, if this guy left and conquered, why is he leaving his language?
As a conqueror, as a victor.
Why? Who does that? Where have you ever heard of a conqueror and a victor practicing these people's practice?
The losers.
The losers. It meant where he was, there were other people that were more than their number. They had to marry our wives. I always make a funny joke. They lost. They came. They fought. They beat the 3 groups of men that they beat, but our women beat them because they married those kids. Eventually, those women spoke to their kids Xitsonga. Those kids grew up speaking Xitsonga, and it became, that's how they lost it. And that's the logical thing that I can think of.
Okay.
Because how you can't conquer and lose your language, guys. Doesn't make sense.
And I mean, it's a beautiful, there's a lot of controversy obviously with history because no one, even when we debate history, I always say that, yeah, and I also say whenever we're debating history, none of us who debate history today were there. And all the things that we're hearing is a message that has been traveling over time. So when we say this is accurate, this is not, we'll never really get to the accuracy of it.
So for me, it's not about the accuracy.
Yes, no, I'm speaking about even the controversy around the show.
Of course, yes.
Yes, because there was a lot of controversy even around that show.
So I know for a fact that Tsonga people used guns at the time. How do I know that? My great-grandfather, he was a gunsmith in the 1800s.
All right.
Actually, if you go to his grave now in Moss, there's a rifle that is put on his grave. He was so dope as a gun person. He fought in that war, in some very big war in the Portuguese, whatever, some war that he fought in that war. He was so dope that if you go to Magudu today, there's a land they become given. That's my people.
All right.
From my great-grandfather.
So you know by that time they were even technologically advanced because to have had rifles at the time when people were fighting in spears, with spears, shows technology and advancement.
So for me, if the story of Shaka is happening in the 1800s, and I know that my ancestor, not far removed, 4 people, him, my mother, him, my grandfather, my mother, me, it's here. He's in the 1800s, this guy. He was a gunsmith. Being a gunsmith, it means you taught a skill. Where did you learn the skill from? From someone.
Conversations really for another day, but it's very beautiful.
Let's leave it. So for me, Shaka was that. So the biggest thing, besides being in a big production, that was so dope. Shooting like 3 forces a day. Oh, that was the nicest thing. But over and above, for me, that was the take out more than anything that excited me. It meant yes, the CV grows bigger, but over and above that, it was the most beautiful show.
Another beautiful moment. Beautiful show indeed. Let's talk about, I mean, you, as I say, that you've done historical show, Kiani, Shaga, those are massive shows. They're historical. They are going to be put down in the history books of the entertainment in our country. And one of those stories also speaks about it's Kalushi. You know, Lucas Mahlangu was the character you played there. I want to dive a little bit.
I was playing Lucas, man?
Yes, Lucas Mahlangu.
Yes.
Yes. I want you, for me it was also, looking at you from my end, it was beautiful for you because yes, you took another language. I think, you know, you were playing, he spoke Ndebele, yes. You know, and that must have been a challenge. How was that for you?
So, here's how I got cast for Kalushi.
Yes.
I didn't know how. So, the saddest thing for me during the process, I said I didn't know about this huge figure of a person.
Yeah. A lot of us didn't until we watched.
Yes. So I'm called for an audition to go play for one call. To play general somewhere in the whatever. When I get there, the casting director, I think it was Bonnie. Bonnie says, Fumani. Bonnie Lee, yeah. She says, Fumani, can you read for this character right now? Can you? I'm like, no, can you give 10 minutes and go prepare and come back? I'm like, sure. Went through it. Went to the audition. I auditioned for the role that they gave me. Went out, I read that one. Came back, I auditioned for it. Bonnie cried, bro. She's like, listen, I'll talk to them, fine. The following day, I got a call, I got the role.
Wow, beautiful.
And then that's when I started doing some research about this particular thing. Hey! Particular, you know, even the Fortunately, through my training, we're taught accent and dialects and how to handle that particular thing. Because immediately I'm like, oh, I know Ferry Jail. Ferry, I met with buddies, like, yo, Ferry, Chumak, Kopatuso. She's in the belly. Like, yo, I've got these lines that help me. She coached me. Practice. When I went to set, it was then easier because Ferry taught me. And even when we played it on the cinema, I was actually sitting next to Lucas when we screened it at the premiere.
Yeah.
He did not complain about the language. The other Ndebele people that were there, even till today, I've never had anyone.
Say wara.
Because it was dope. But over and above that, the story itself, I think we need to show more of such stories.
I think it needs to play more in a regular time slot. The same way we repeat Sarafina,
we need to do that.
Because not only is it a brilliant South African told story, like in terms of the quality, the acting and everything, but it's also an important story for us to know.
It's very important.
When he speaks about the blood watering, that part, I'm just like...
Okay, sorry to disturb you there.
Yeah.
Here's what a lot of people don't know and why it's very important for us to watch this story. So, the racist, vile regime people, when they took it to the gallows, it was 52 steps. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
So it's 52 steps. So apparently, it was Kalushi and someone else. That song, the guy who composed that song. So when Kalushi was taken up, remember Kalushi is 2021 at the time.
Young man.
Kid. He's a child. So apparently, everyone screams and being dragged up. I'm sure those sadistic, evil people enjoyed.
Yeah, the torture. Yeah.
Dragging those people up. Kalushi walked up.
It's the most powerful thing I've ever seen. Tabora Metsi just did something amazing there.
He walked up. So that's what Kalushi did. He walked up the stairs. He did not give them
the satisfaction of seeing him cry, seeing him being weak.
He did not. Same as the gentleman who did Nanzindo Demnyama. He did the same thing. Apparently when he was taken out of his jail cell, he sang that song, Nanzindo Demnyama, as he was walking. The whole prison cell joined in. When he kept quiet, it was when the news, he walked up. You see, the reason why it's important for us to see these movies, it will help us to understand the brevity and the courage of our people who fought for us.
And they didn't die crying. They didn't die weak.
They didn't die weak.
We stand on shoulders of strong men
if we see
and
that,
women.
Guess what it does to our young people?
Yeah, it gives us pride, sense of belonging, and that thing, that chutzpah that you need to chase your dreams.
It does that.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, movies like Kalushi, such movies, I mean, they were able to lie to us that Africans or South Africans, we didn't do anything with gold. Whilst they found those rhino horns at Mapungubia and hid them at Pretoria University. Why did they hide them? So my question is, can you imagine the franticness of that process when they found out, hey, there is this thing, and that hiding process that has happened. So that's why we need to tell these stories, guys. It will awaken our kids to say, no, that's really God.
True.
We are here.
Yeah.
Like, right now, everyone talks about how... I was sitting with some very big people in ANC the other day. And I'm like, guys, the biggest problem that is here is that your communication is the problem. You don't communicate enough. You don't put your stories out there enough, and that is a problem.
I think their problem is bigger than that. I think their problem is that trying to sell, they are telling history only from wanting to shine their story as heroes and selective stories.
But that's it, guys.
Yeah.
It's propaganda.
Yeah.
Everyone is doing that across the world.
Everybody is, but I think that what they have put down is that they've said it's us alone. Because everybody, for me, the conversation is that the people that left, yes,
of course,
they did a lot of work.
Yeah,
they did a lot, but the people that stayed
also did. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is this. It is narratives. Like I said earlier before we started, Kuri, the owners of the system made it show, Kuri, stories are not said.
Yeah.
And our young kids are convinced. You hear young people right now saying apartheid was bad. I'm like, what? Are you nuts? You know what I'm saying? It's because they were convinced through propaganda. Like what? You hear people saying, no, 30% pass mark. Guys, there was 33% pass mark even before then.
Yeah. And also, the education was substandard.
Was
before then.
substandard.
And selected few could even get access to it. Yeah.
You hear stories like, and it's a narrative that's given birth.
Yeah.
Students could know ANC did nothing in 30 years. That's the bullest crap that you've ever had. Guys, we don't be sitting here right now. Forget all the other things. You hear stories about the corruption story. Guys, there's no government that's not corrupt. But it has taken so center stage that that's all we talk about. That's what I'm talking about. They are not telling their stories to a point that it silences this nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, with them, I think that they need to tell their story. I agree with you that in that front, since you are advocating for them. But I still think
I advocate for anyone.
For anyone to tell the story, yes.
But because now is in power,
yeah,
they need to come and tell that story.
Yeah.
But
I also think we need to hold them a lot more accountable.
No. Sorry, Sipho. If you are in position of power,
yes,
you need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
We can't shy away from that.
Yeah.
You can't shy away from being criticized. And if the criticism makes sense, then affect them. If it don't make sense, counter back. We cannot. I'm not saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying for a second that we must elevate them to a point where it's hunky-dory. No. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, like I said, I was sitting with some very top ANC people 2 days ago. Charlie, one man tells me this. Because do you know, in 1994, I was in Parliament, and he was a kid then. What do we know? What do we hear about the ANC now? They don't put old. They only put old people.
They were all kids then. They were all like very young people.
No, the ones that were put.
Yeah.
He's now not. He's now in his.
Yeah, now they are old. They've grown.
No, the one I'm talking about that was in there. He's in his 50s now.
All right.
Imagine how old he was then.
He must have been very young. Yeah, in his 20s.
You know, he was in his. He's now in his 50s, close to 60. So he was young then.
He was a young man.
So if we don't know about this, it means the story that they only employ old people will become that. That's what I'm saying. Propaganda is key, guys.
What kind of stories do you think we still need to tell as South Africans?
First and foremost, we need to put the whole country under propaganda.
Okay.
Under this mission. We need to... Look, let me take you back to Singapore.
Yeah.
Singapore was a mess. Culturally, they had the xenophobia things that we talk about now here, that are here, racial issues, tribal issues. They had them in Singapore. What did they do? They created a system that will force everyone to follow, knowing that these kids that are going to be in this system, eventually it will become part of them. When it becomes part of them, they will now force the future generations to follow this thing. We need to create a system, movies, school, TV shows, because right now on TV, it's Mukosi who's been bad for the last 4 years and with no consequences. Does not make sense.
And I mean, that's an interesting character because you play Vukosi on Kiani.
Yes.
And he was the loved and trended for the language you gave him, the flair you gave him. But you are right that there's no sense of consequence.
No.
He's never held accountable. He destroys, he beat, and the person that we celebrate now is we're celebrating evil consistently.
On TV, throughout.
And there's no, and this is if example, as a Tsonga parent, I want my kid to watch Tsonga so that they learn the language.
Why am I
They're
going to
also
come to
learning, because now they're looking at this character that's just never held accountable. There's never a sense of accountability.
But this is my point.
Yeah.
So we need to tell stories that will shape us. And here's the unfortunate truth. There's two sets of parallel voices in South Africa.
Okay.
There are those who still want to keep us there.
Oh yes, definitely.
You see?
Yeah.
And who are they? They're the ones who are busy commissioning these shows. Right? And there are those who want, look at what Saudi did. Saudi, what they do was good. Yes, it was very radical.
Yeah.
But other stations stole those concepts and put them in their stations to say we'll steal those audience. But they are messing up the future. By not following through. Had everyone in the country became patriotic, we have a lot of people not patriotic.
Okay. So we need to tell more stories that are propaganda driven, that are more patriotic and shape our future.
That's it.
What would you say? Okay, being in the industry, you are still young, fairly young in the industry. I mean, you've been there for a while, but you're a young man. I mean, you can still play somebody's boyfriend. So that's how you assess. Yes.
Will I play someone's boyfriend?
You assess.
I'm out of that one.
No, you're not. You can still play somebody's boyfriend. There are still ladies that you can be like.
Dude, do you know my briefs? It's fathers now.
Somebody's father.
Yes.
But who cheats? Who can live in
No,
Mapapeli?
fortunately, that followed me. The non-cheating thing of me followed me. Where even in films, they just see the father, they see the good. But also, I chose that as well.
Yeah.
I'm very careful with what I chose. So the show that I was saying later, I wish I skipped the point. They called me 4 weeks before.
Yeah.
I even asked them, what kind of a role is he? Is he affecting the story, or is just a mechanic? No, mechanic is even better. A hobo. He said, no, he's affecting. So I'm like, no, yes, I can do it. Okay. So my point is that, as much as we see all those things, how are we intentionally shaping?
So I hear that you are speaking about the kind of shows that you need to make and the decision that you need to make. There are actors that are starting out in the game, and you are speaking about intention, and you've been intentional about what you do. Even recently, I've seen in your own work you're creating Tsonga content for younger kids, because you've got younger kids growing up, so you want them to consume cartoons within the language. But as an actor starting out, beyond just being Tsonga, I want to speak about intention. How important is it to be intentional, but also how can a starting out actor be intentional without blocking themselves from opportunities?
That's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Because whether we like it or not, you see what I'm saying about how shows are done now.
Yeah.
Is because it's only few actors who can speak like this. You see what I'm saying? It's only veterans who can speak that way. Yeah. Because
you've earned your stripes.
I've earned my stripes.
To get your voice.
You see what I'm saying? So new actors need to be, they need to understand the game. They need to play the game.
Yeah.
They need to navigate the game. If they don't do that, it's a reality. You will be closed out.
So when is it too soon to speak out?
I guess you would know. And your stripes.
Okay.
Just though, be principled.
Yeah. Okay.
Me from day one, I knew from day one, even before I became anything, I knew that I wouldn't do any alcohol adverts. I told my agent, don't send me for any cast of any alcohol adverts. I knew that.
Because I'm not going to promote something I'm not engaging in.
I'm not engaging. I knew from day one, because I won't do full frontal nudity on TV. Even from day one, I knew.
Yet you've been you did it
on stage,
cards.
On cards.
Yes, it was a different production.
It's a different
but also
thing.
it was a different time, because now people bring phones to the theater.
But also that.
Yeah.
But secondly, then my mentor, the directing cards, he was like, "Oh, let's do this in a movie." I'm like, even so, I'm not gonna be naked in a movie.
Yeah, because it's got to outlive you. Your daughters get to see it. Their grandchildren.
So I knew. So whatever that they do, they also need to be principled. They need to know this is I follow, this I don't follow. Simple as that.
How has the game changed from when you started to where it is now?
Now it's a social media game.
Okay.
They need to make sure. I don't know how. I don't even know how when they grow your numbers, how they do it. I don't know. But just create. I have a younger brother, Ziggy. Ziggy, when he came out of varsity, he had energy. I'm gonna enter them like this. It does not work like that, chief. He was very energetic. I'm like, eh. And then I said to him, I'll show you the door. I'm not gonna open. And then there was a role that he was auditioned for. He nearly got it. It was up to channel, and he didn't get it. He was distraught. But what that did to him, which I even asked the cousin that to tell him why, as new people, you don't get in. He said, but we don't know you. We're not going to stick our reputation on a person, on an unknown entity. Yeah. What did Ziggy do? Ziggy started creating content, monologues on social media, acting with people that made him a thing. Even his Instagram, he posted intentionally certain kind of pictures, worked on his body, shaped himself, positioned himself. So that's what I think new actors need to do. Grow that medium, because they will ask you. I doubt there will ever be a producer who will ask me, what are your followers? I will say to them, I'm not the person that you're looking for. Let's leave it there. But also you are very active on your socials. No, I'm active, but I'm not. But it's not for getting a job anymore, because of your work speaks for you. It speaks for me. So the young ones, they need to be understanding. It's a different game. Yeah, it's a new game. It's a new game. All right. Thank you so much for the conversation. There's always a lot to touch on, but this gives us a reason for part 2. It gives us a reason for part 2. Let's go for 3 hours. I want you to look at that camera there and just speak to Tsonga actors specifically for this episode, because we have had a lot of other actors, and give them advice that you think would help them in
in a couple of years' time to be invited in shows like this and sit and have these kind of conversations, what should they be doing where they are now?
Okay, like I said, Kuri,
Yeah.
the pool is very small to a point where it's non-existent. So anyone who's an aspiring actor from the Tsonga community, you'll need to go train. You need to get the skill, because talent by itself, you're gonna hit a ceiling, you won't know how to move off that ceiling. But if you have a skill, you're gonna know how to burst through that particular ceiling. So if you train, invest in your craft, and make sure that you are professional, you know the lingo, you know the vibe, it will also help you to stop being exploited. Because if you're gonna come in, not trained, don't know nothing, they're gonna exploit you. They're gonna give you the 500 rands and you think you have arrived, simply because you are clueless. So it's very key that any aspiring Tsonga actor go get training. The thing you're going to who must come to you to train you, that's a sign that you don't want it. That's a sign of laziness. You must go get it if you really, really want it. No one's going to come to you and give it to you. Nothing will happen in any space, any sphere of life or any business. You go get it yourself.
If you want it, you've got to go get it. Thank you so much for gracing our show.
Inkomu,
Kenzayin,
Oh, yeah.
Kenzayin. It has been another great one. Actors, let's go pull up our socks. Nothing is coming to us. Let's go get it. Until the next show with the next guest from me, Sipho Aslango, it's a wrap.